A lot happening at Glencroft. It is always a pleasure to be here for our monthly program. In this segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about the history of Glencroft and the Glencroft Foundation. We have Gabe Vasquez with us, who is the marketing director for Glencroft, and Wendy Johnson, who is the vice president of philanthropy at the Glencroft Foundation. Good to have you both with us today.
Thank you. We're excited.
Now, let's start with Gabe in the sense of if somebody's coming into this in the middle of the program, what is Glencroft and what makes Glencroft so incredibly unique here in the Valley?
What is a Glencroft? For over 50 years, right, we like to say Arizona families have been trusting Glencroft with what matters most. And what matters most is our family. It's ourselves. It's our lives. It's our whole concept of wellness, right? So we are one of the largest senior living communities in Arizona. We have various levels of care to be able to help seniors age in place. As early as age 62 years old, you can move into Glencroft and have a community where you have the assurance available that you may want to have. I think there's a lot of older adults that could lose some of the chores, like cleaning the yard and the housekeeping stuff, that just get that stuff out of the way so you don't have to worry and you can focus on living a great life. We believe on helping people, empowering people to live their best lives. That's our absolute thing. Can you tell me a little bit of where this actually spawned from? Because it's a real cute little story, isn't it?
It's kind of amazing if you think about it. Back in the 60s, a woman noticed a couple in her congregation at her church that were not aging well in place. And their children were geographically distributed, so they couldn't move in with their kids. And maybe they didn't want to if they were in town. You know, that happens. So she offered them an opportunity to live with her and her husband, and they jumped on that, and they lived the rest of their lives with this couple. At the end, when they died, they gave a legacy gift of $500 to this woman and her husband. Well, she did the unthinkable. She took that $500 and went to her community of faith and said, there are more people like this couple. How can we make a difference? And from there, that community of faith joined with other communities of faith, and Glencroft was born. They came out here to the farmland, and they bought 40 acres. What a step of faith to think. And they picked a great spot. The community's grown up around it, and Glencroft was founded. And the idea is that we are in this together. Right? We are a community. And Glencroft has evolved since then as seniors are aging differently and living longer and having different struggles. But that legacy is what motivates Glencroft today. We are no different in our philosophy of why we do what we do than Sarah Ruth was.
Now, hearing you say bought 40 acres in Glendale, it's like you automatically do the calculation.
Right, $500 doesn't sound about right.
Yeah.
So I has been in charge a bit of the history project with Glencroft, and I found all the study materials that the Mennonite churches in Sunny Slope actually used to pass to the congregations and volunteers who set out that they want to help this specific mission. Letters that was going out all over the city and to other churches and community members to try and contribute, until I think it was about $200,000 is what they paid for the land here in Glendale in 1970. So by 1971, they had started Friendship Retirement Corporation. You know, the marketing words is, you know, they seeked to create a community that was aligned with that Christian compassion was their original vision, where seniors can have wellness in their spirituality, their physical health, their social health, and being able to have enriched, stimulating lives as you age, all the way to the very, very end, right? It's worth having that stimulation and enrichment. You want to live well and have a good life.
Well, fulfillment is a word that I think is important because it doesn't much matter whether you're 15, 35, or 75. You want to live a fulfilling life. Talk to me, if you both could contribute to this, talk to me about how building that experience of fulfillment, that life that people are living at Glencroft in their senior years, that creates that fulfillment and that happiness.
We believe that we have a lifestyle blueprint of what probably is the highest chances of a well-enriched and stable life. And we like to use that word, lifestyle blueprint, because ZoeLife is our entire concept of all the aggregate information that we have assembled of 50 years, Glencroft taking care of seniors and knowing what works, what doesn't, what's received well, and what's helping people sustain longer. We have residents that have been here for 15 plus years and didn't expect to. A lot of people think that when they move into a next level of care, as they want to call it, or some kind of senior place, that it's their final chapter. Well, is it your final chapter if you've got 15, 20, 25, 30 years ahead of you beyond retirement to sustain? I wouldn't want to just throw away 30 years. I think there's a lot of cushion to have stimulating life because I see it every day. The residents that I see every day and the community that we have, there's residents that are way busier than I am on a day-to-day basis that they want to grab life by the horns and control their day-to-day. They want to stay in that lead position.
I would call it a sense of emotional ownership. Not only do they own their choices, which autonomy among seniors is hard, especially if you move in like with a relative, or you move into a limited care facility, or you're home alone. Your autonomy becomes survival, not enrichment. The other side of it is they are invested in what we do, whether that is the color of the outside lighting to make sure it's bright enough for them, to volunteering thousands of hours every year on campus to make sure that things are available for other seniors. Whether it's a social kind of club, a craft, a skill building, our Glencroft University where they're enriching their head knowledge, to running the mini mart in our town center. It is an investment of ownership, emotional ownership that comes with living here. And it is appealing to people coming in from the outside because it is evidence of a community. It's like a small town in many, many ways, because the variety of people, the variety of lifestyles coming in, the variety of economic situation, it runs the spectrum. We're not all wealthy and living in a very expensive, posh senior residence. We are across the spectrum. We look like your neighbor.
Now, you said something about the people who are coming here and what they come here with. You, for example, did missionary work.
Yes.
And I'm intrigued by the fact that with the people who are here who come from all different walks of life, that they probably bring some incredible experience and experiences into Glencroft that become...
You can't imagine.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine. I'm just thinking about, we were talking at New Employee Orientation this week, that we still have World War II soldiers here.
Yeah, the greatest generation.
The greatest generation, and the ones who saw the biggest change in our world. And they're still here contributing at 100%. And there's more. You have such a rich history with our seniors.
Yeah, no, I've been here for about 11 years. I've been with Glencroft. And there's so many residents that I got so close to when I first got hired that I'm still like best friends with today, and I get to hang out with and hear the stories. And it's so phenomenal to have someone that is just my sweet pal that I see every day, and how are you? It's so good to see you. But he's like, when I was your age, I was hanging a limb out of the side of a helicopter because I was going doof, 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 doof. And I was You're kidding. He's 96 years old, sits back with a nice calm demeanor. Yeah, no, I fought for our country. I fought for our freedom. I did my absolute best to make sure that I fought for our freedoms, and I had to shoot out of a helicopter to do it. And I said, well, thank you absolutely so much for your service. We have so many veterans that have fought for our freedoms that are here on our campus and still doing their best to continue to do so, standing for our nation and their beliefs.
Same with a lot of school teachers, social workers. You wonder where that group of people go to retire. Well, they go to retire with like-minded people.
Yes.
That have shared interests, shared values. We don't all believe the same. We have a grand spectrum of religiosity from different faiths. We have from nothing to everything. We've got it all. But what we have is a value of appreciation for the same things, and that makes a huge difference in community building.
Absolutely.
Diversity is a word that I think is, to some extent, gotten a bad name, but it is the spice that makes the world go round when you stop and think of it. There's so many different people here, from the residents to the staff, and different ages, different experiences. It's a wonderful thing. Let me ask about the Glencroft Foundation. Wendy Johnson is the Vice President of Philanthropy at the Glencroft Foundation. What is the Glencroft Foundation as opposed to Glencroft the community?
Well, Glencroft Foundation was founded back in the 80s when they realized sustainability was an important part of growing this community. Is how are we going to pay for this? Because we can't keep raising the rent, right, to keep up with those growth items. So we are the philanthropic and the fundraising arm of Glencroft Center for Modern Aging. And there's two sides to that. One is that we go and look for granting opportunities with funders in the country who are interested in seniors, in information on seniors aging. In 2030, all of us boomers will be 65.
In 2030.
2030,
Yeah.
which is tomorrow in my calendar. It's
basically yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So that arc of us aging is that we have greater needs, and we're a greater percentage of the population. Here in Phoenix, we're estimated to be a quarter of the population by 2030. That's a big chunk of humanity that needs expanded services, who are aging in their homes right now, but maybe shouldn't be. Maybe that's a bad choice for them because it lacks the socialness. They're just living to maintain their home. They're existing. And so the foundation wants to enrich what Glencroft does by raising funding for programs that help with that. The second part of it is that we are philanthropic both with our residents and with our staff, because the key to a good, healthy community is that everybody's happy. Everybody's got some basic needs taken care of. And our residents on the Maslow hierarchy of needs have a big, thick part. From safe shelter to healthy food to access to health care. All of those social determinants of health are important. And the foundation works towards fulfilling that on campus. How can we help fund that? What can we do to make a difference? So our job is really raising money. We want your money.
Yeah, my understanding of how Glencroft wants to keep building itself, like the village, is meant to be, a community that runs itself, right? The sentiment since the beginning, Glencroft has been not-for-profit, purpose-driven, and community-driven, built by the people. You mentioned earlier that maybe Glencroft isn't the shiniest brand new building that was made yesterday. But I'll tell you what we do have. We have some handcrafted posters that people who have been working with Photoshop since it first came out, version 1, that still have kept up their Photoshop licenses, and they still want to design stuff on their own at 86 years old and print out flyers to show on campus because they want their friends to know that the talent show is this Friday. Exactly. I'm bringing my oboe, and this is what it's going to be. Yeah. And all over our campus is little hints of community, of life. People that are actually living here and seeing each other, knocking on your neighbor's door, borrowing some sugar for cookies, having community, right? That's what it's supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And Glencroft is trying to provide the best context and setting we can to encourage that.
Well, it looks like you're doing it and doing it well. Gabe Vasquez, Director of Marketing, Wendy Johnson, Vice President of Philanthropy at the Glencroft Foundation. Thank you for your time today. We could go on talking for
It was a
another
delight.
hour or so, but thank you.